The world of digital marketing moves at a dizzying speed. Strategies, budgets, tactics, buzzwords. How can we even begin to distinguish the signal from the noise, the good moves from the bad? Take it from the team that's tripped as much as we've triumphed. We're putting our best moves in the spotlight and spilling every secret to give you step-by-step instructions to steal for your own success and digitally scale your business. This is Marketing Moves.
Welcome back to another episode of Marketing Moves. I'm your host, Ashtyn Morris, Senior Account Executive and Strategic Partnerships Lead at VividFront. Today, I'm joined by two guests building an incredible organization. Neal Alexander, founder and CEO of CyberSafely AI, an AI parental monitoring platform helping families and schools see what kids encounter online before it escalates. And Torino Fitzgerald, Fractional Executive Director of the CyberSafely Foundation, who since this past July has also stepped in as Interim Operations Lead for CyberSafely AI itself. Today, we get into how a father-son conversation became a national child safety platform, how the definition of online safety has changed over the last decade, and how you market a nonprofit and software company as one story without losing anyone along the way. Neal, Torino, welcome to Marketing Moves.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
I'm so excited. I love having two guests on. Always great energy. I'm going to start with you first, Neal.
Okay.
You've built more than 35 businesses over a 45-year career. What made this one different from everything you've built before?
The idea that we can actually help children, save kids' lives, I think that's the difference. I built a lot of business from security and things that really weren't affecting children's lives or helping people. And so as I've aged, now I've decided that everything that I do is going to be to try and assist people, and I love working with kids.
When did you found CyberSafely?
I believe it was in 2022.
Wow, time's flying.
It does.
So when did you come into the fold, Torino?
In April of this year.
Oh, wow. Tell us about your career journey. You've had an extensive career, but this is a relatively new endeavor for you.
Yep. So I primarily worked in consulting, financial services, and then a 3-year stint in manufacturing. So after I left the manufacturing industry, I started to look in the nonprofit space, and through a mutual friend was introduced to Neal.
And you made the jump from Chicago to Cleveland.
And made the jump from Chicago to Cleveland by virtue of the manufacturing opportunity.
So you guys operate on different facets of the organization. So how do you guys work together on a daily basis?
Yep.
So there's two entities. One is the CyberSafely AI, which is the tool that the mission is surrounded around. The foundation, Toronto can talk a little bit more about that, is a separate entity that works to educate, create awareness, and advocacy in that same space, same mission. So we work jointly and we collaborate on things when we can, and we work individually when it makes sense.
From a .ai perspective, that's our entry product, meaning from an advocacy, education, awareness perspective, we want to make sure that people, or particularly children, are aware of the threats online and also the opportunities. But then we added a different component, which is focused on workforce readiness. So not only are we trying to keep kids from being distracted from what's happening online, but also ultimately prepare them for the workforce.
It's amazing. And CyberSafely's beginnings stem from real lived experience. Neal, you saw firsthand your son's Walsh Jesuit football players and how consumed they were by social media. I feel like everyone has seen that, especially with kids nowadays, but you were really able to see it up close and personal. Tell us more about that experience and how it led to CyberSafely.
Sure. It actually started with my son, head football coach at Walsh, as you mentioned. And I had sold a company, and so I went to him. I said, hey, let's do something together. A little bit more exciting work with your child. And I had done football camps in the past and speaking engagements. And so I mentioned a number of items, and he didn't like any of them. So as a father, I got frustrated and said, so what's your problem? And so he pointed to his phone. He said, I have 120 kids, and every night I got to come home while my wife sits there and yells at me, says, go and find out what they're doing on social media because it harms them, it harms the school, it harms our program. And so I said, that's probably an easy fix. I'm that kind of a guy who how can you fix something? And so I started looking into it and realized that social media is a huge problem, as everybody is aware today. And worked with a software company, and we developed the initial software, which basically was monitoring social media as opposed to everything on the internet. We've expanded it since then, and now we use keystroke technology, and so anything the child does on their phone or device is monitored. But my son led me into that opportunity.
So that shift came from a pretty pivotal conversation with a woman whose daughter actually committed suicide, correct?
Correct.
Can you expand on that a bit more about really how that helped CyberSafely evolve?
So again, we focused mostly on social media. And then I spoke to numerous people, parents in Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, who had lost their children to sextortion, bullying, drug use online. So I recognized that it wasn't just social media. It's everything they do at the phone, on their phone. In addition, that they're predators looking to get them to do those things and take advantage of the children through the internet and online. So we went back to the drawing board and then changed our software so that we used keystroke technology, where anything they do on the phone, whether they're doing a search, whether they're doing sending something in social media, if they're on a game room site, it's now entered into our mid-layer AI and provides an alert to the parent. So I was introduced to Diane Grossman, and she lost her daughter to bullying at age 13. But I realized from her that she didn't allow her daughter on social media, and that's mainly where our platform was based on, that the children took a screenshot of what they're saying on social media and sent it to her so that she knew, and that led her to take her own life. So that helped me recognize, amongst other parents that I spoke to, that we needed to change our platform. So we did, because the whole business is mission-based. It's to save kids' lives, help parents in a very difficult space that they have no idea what to do, keeping their kids safe in the internet.
Especially with how quickly technology is evolving. And kids are so tech native now that they're discovering things that probably parents just can't keep up with. So it's just so sad to hear. She thought she was doing everything right, and as a mom, like not having her kid on social media. But even then, it can affect children in so many ways. So I think that was a key distinction of expanding what CyberSafely was, because you're thinking about the entire tech journey for kids and how to protect them from what's out there.
100%.
Torino, obviously you've covered your career. This was quite the shift. So what about this mission made you want to get involved?
One is I'm keenly aware of the workforce readiness challenges that exist not only in Northeast Ohio, but across the nation. And it starts young, meaning if we can protect our children from whatever types of distractions that happen online or offline, it just creates a workforce that is capable and ready for whatever challenges that may come their way.
So what do some of those distractions look like?
I think from a online perspective is all the things that Neal has talked about, the sextortion, the bullying, anything that compromises someone's self-esteem and puts them in a position where they don't see their value and can't translate that value into something meaningful for an employer.
Absolutely. You already touched on this a little bit, Neal, but your technology works a bit differently. So can you walk us through what actually happens between a kid typing something concerning and a parent getting an actual alert?
And that has evolved in our software as well, which we're very excited about. The child uses their phone naturally. So what our software does is we create a layer over their keypad. So anything they put still does exactly what it's supposed to do. It sends a text, it searches online, but it also goes into our mid-layer AI, which analyzes it for emojis, words, phrases, and all those kind of things that then sends an alert to the parent. However, the expansion on it is we don't want it to be a gotcha moment. I was talking to a school district, and I was talking to the head of the board, and she knew that we were coming to speak to them the next day as we were talking to the board, and she thanked me before we even got started. And I'm like, what are you thanking me for? We haven't even discussed the product with you. And basically she said, I had the opportunity to speak to my two daughters who, when I told them that I was going to start monitoring their phone, blew a gasket and got all upset. But then I spent an hour and a half talking to my two daughters about the problems that are out there in social media. So what we've developed is now creating a persona for every child. So if your child is online, parents don't know what their kids are doing at 2 a.m. If we can let them know that between 12 and 3 a.m. your child was on social media, or that they were having contextual conversations with some kids from school, that's a huge thing for a parent to understand. In addition to, we can create that persona that says your child's been making statements that might suggest that they're being sextorted, that might suggest that they're being bullied. So now the parent can look into it, and instead of going, what are you doing? Old school, let's have a conversation and help you understand what that problem is. Because part of the mission is to save kids' lives and educate parents and advise them from an alert standpoint. But the other part is to pivot the way kids use social media. In the long run, I use the seatbelt example. So seatbelt was a law 100 years before people really started using it. Even when I was growing up, it was a law, but I never wore my seatbelt. Now I get in the car, I have 9 grandkids. Poppy, you need to put your seatbelt on. That it's like ingrained in them, but it takes a while for that to happen. Social media and the internet are the Wild West. You can do what you want, and kids know that. So we've got to pivot the way they do it. And the first thing is providing the alert, and secondly, having the parents have a conversation with them, and connectivity with the schools as well. But I think that's how I think we can solve the mission.
I also think, too, it's key to distinguish how this is not parents trying to be nosy, but it ultimately comes down to privacy. I remember I had a journal growing up, and the thought of my mom ever reading it, she never did. But at the same point, now as a 27-year-old, I would understand if she did, if she thought I was in danger or something happening. And that's really how parents are coming from in this sense. It's not just to monitor what their kids are doing, but they want to ensure that nothing bad is happening to them. And I think CyberSafely gives them the opportunity to really talk about that on a level with their kids that they'll understand, maybe not right now, but down the road. How do VPNs and incognito mode not factor into your ability to see and monitor children's activity online?
So understanding that we are 24/7, 365. The way we've designed the software is so whether you're on the internet, whether you're on a VPN, when you're on somebody else's network, we're still monitoring 100%. Other software alert programs are keyed on the VPN. So that's how they're getting the information to provide the alert. So if you move outside of that, for instance, there's a lot of schools have it on their Chromebooks or their MacBooks. And what that does then is, I talk to teachers all the time who tell me they're not supposed to be looking at that on school, but they're looking at it. So they VPN out. Kids are smart. They know how to fix it. They are. They really are. And so that goes back to if the kid thinks it's a gotcha moment versus if the kid thinks my parents are concerned about me, to your point, and I just want to help you, let's get past this so you don't have any of these problems.
So, Torino, this past July, a key person who owned the entire operations layer since day one left. What did that first day look like for you coming into the fold?
His first day once he left, or the first day once we got notification?
Oh, take that whatever way you want.
That's fair. I think the first day we got notification, I think it was a sense of panic because he had been with Neal for almost 3 years. And so he was the kind of the center of gravity for operations for .ai. My next thought was there's no way we can find someone, bring them onboard them, and then situate them so that they could actually manage the transition of that knowledge within a 2-week time frame. So I volunteered to Neal that I would manage the transition, and what that means is I would extract the intel from his head, turn that into standard operating procedures, and then reimagine the responsibilities and organize them around 3 or 4 core responsibilities that we would then spread across some of the interns and existing employees that was there.
Could you imagine this man volunteering? He has a full-time job as executive director of the foundation, and then volunteering to create a new system for our operations. Amazing.
Yeah. You were invested.
Yeah,
you bought in.
I was bought in. So I also like the idea of solving tough problems. And this was one that had its own unique set of challenges with the compressed time frame. But I could not have done it without AI.
Yeah.
So AI was the game changer here.
I think the mission is what got Torino to buy in. He bought into what we're trying to do 100%.
Oh, yeah. And you need everyone to be bought in for it to work. I would love for you to expand on how AI really was the game changer for you guys.
Yeah, what AI, it doesn't replace your judgment or your multiple decades of experience. What it does is that it compresses time. It accelerates what's possible given your body of experience, et cetera. So the architecting and the strategy for extracting the information from this team member was all mine. AI just made it possible to do it in a way that was much faster than what I could have humanly been able to do on my own.
Your consulting background is showing.
Right, exactly.
It definitely is.
But you also had the fun challenge of turning the visibility, capability, and placement model into something a school district could actually buy.
Yeah.
What did that look like in practice?
Yeah, so once I started, I was aware of some of the challenges that the team was having with .ai. And then coming from my background, I knew workforce readiness was something that was critical for corporations, who was also a target audience for .ai. So my initial thought was, what could the end-to-end story be? And it's this idea of the app providing visibility into what your child is doing. And then the foundation builds that underlying capability that a kid needs in order to make the right decision when a threat poses itself. And then once that capability is built, how do you extend that so that it has application within the context of a work environment? And then that's the workforce readiness piece, which is, all right, if a corporation is engaged enough to help keep our kids safe, would they also be willing to go one step further and employ them to give them the body of professional experiences that they need to know what work life will look like once they graduate?
How has the response been to this feature?
Yep. So we, in full transparency, we are working towards getting a pilot. And there's one of two ways that we can pursue it. We can be a fast follow to whatever happens in .ai. So once a school activates with the application, et cetera, we can then follow that by enabling that school with the capability building component of that. Or we can lead with it and then follow that with the .ai application. So we are working on getting a pilot right now so that we can get results on actually changing behavior as a result of our treatments.
Broadly speaking, how many schools have adopted CyberSafely?
So it's really not a school adoption.
Okay.
It's more a parent adoption, but we've gone through the schools to open up the doors to the parents. We've worked on our marketing. It's changed its platform many times, as most companies, happens during most companies in the initial phases. What Torino's speaking of, every school in the state of Missouri, 300,000 kids are now being offered the CyberSafely.ai, the 5th through the 9th grade. So how many schools are that? It's literally hundreds.
Yeah.
And we have a number of schools in Ohio that are doing it as well, and we're excited about that. We have schools in Canada that are using .ai, and we're working on the pilot for the foundation with some schools in Canada as well. Georgia, Iowa, some other states are looking to adopt it, which from my perspective as the founder creates significant validation. When you get a state that says, we love the product that you have, we want to give it to all our kids, we think it can save lives. So that was great validation. I don't really have a number.
How did that come about? Did you approach the state and were like, hey, we have this going on? Or what was the workflow like?
So we approached a lot of people.
I can imagine. That just doesn't happen.
Approached the corporations, insurance companies, all kinds of people. Say, hey, look, we can save kids' lives. How can we get you and get you involved? John McDonald, who runs an organization in Missouri, we approached him and he said, this is what we need. His organization is for school safety. He's a very big proponent of that, but he's also looked up to by other districts in other states. So he helped us open the door to Missouri because he believed in what we're doing, and he's helping us open up other doors. So I guess that would be the real way that came about.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I feel like we're in such a different time when it comes to technology. Like I said earlier, I'm 27, turning 28 in October, and I remember growing up, teachers, parents, friends, the whole world was shouting, do not put out personal information online. Be careful what you're putting out there. And now there's families that literally have YouTube, social media accounts, all based around family content and posting their kids. I'm not a parent. I'm not here to judge, but it's a market shift. And obviously the dangers now more than ever are apparent. The FBI reported sextortion cases are up 150% since 2023, with at least 36 teen boys reported dead by suicide after being targeted. This shift is obviously astounding and very sad to see. So I'm curious from the both of you, what do you think has prompted parents to being a bit more open to posting their kids on social media and also open to their kids having social media? Sometimes even before they're born, they're creating accounts for them, their baby accounts. So I'm just curious, what do you think has caused that on a broader scale?
So in my opinion, parents grew up with it. I did not grow up with social media. I still remember the box phone, the bag phone, all those things as we grew up. So they grew up with it and they understand it. And so it's a mystique to them. We want to be shown out in the world. We want to be more visible, so we want our kids, because we love them, and let's share them with the world. But I agree with you, they don't really get the issues. And that's why I think CyberSafely, it plays a big part, because parents come to me and they say, well, I've got my child, 3rd grade, I really want to give them a phone. They want a phone, everybody else has a phone. With CyberSafely on it, you can give them that phone and feel comfortable, as opposed to them just being out in the real world using a phone with no protection whatsoever. I have 3 kids, 9 grandkids. My daughters do a mix. All kids are a little bit different. One is a little bit more open with their kids on social media. The other one is very private with their kids on social media. So it depends. I get their point of view, but I feel comfortable with them using CyberSafely, that if they're doing that, those people that want to creep into their social world and sextort them or go after whatever issues they can come about, even bullying, which happens online, can be protected.
I also think as the influencer community continue to grow, and this idea of content creation continues to be a category for job and job creation, I think parents are using it as a mechanism to either diversify their income streams or establish a brand online. And so then at some point, they have to answer the question, how involved do they want to include their families or their children in that online branding? So I think that's why you're seeing more now than ever, as content creation becomes a real category for job creation and jobs itself.
Oh yeah, I think it's Arizona State University that is offering a content creation either degree or course, how to become a content creator.
Yeah.
The space is evolving, but it's just so interesting to see, especially I feel like more voices like you guys are speaking out about how dangerous the internet is and technology in general, not just for adults, but children. I wonder how we can do a better job at educating parents without making them feel bad maybe about previous history online. So do you have to grapple with some of those conversations with people that you interface with, of balancing, hey, these are the dangers out there, and then they have to sit with, I've been posting my kid second they were born.
It's frustrating to me. Parents stick their head in the sands. And again, I have three kids, and sometimes they do the same thing. My kids are good kids. You know they aren't going to do anything. We go to Catholic schools and Christian schools, my son's school included, and hey, we're a good Christian school. They wouldn't do these things. Unfortunately, the creep is from the outside as well as not what they're doing as well. So yeah, we grapple with it all the time, and that's where the foundation, I think, plays a big part in trying to help educate the people. A lot of material that we put out is for education. Jonathan Haidt wrote a great book, The Anxious Generation, and it talks about all of those, the statistics, and he's promoting that on a big time. So the more we can get in front of parents and educate them, we do. One of the things the foundation has done is gone out and actually spoken in schools. And we've got a presentation that talks about how it affects women, how it affects young men, which it affects it differently. So all those things are really important.
I'd love for you to speak on what it's like when you come to schools and talk to students, and also how school counselors are so critical for students that are navigating the digital landscape now more than ever.
Yeah. So I haven't personally gone out to schools yet, but it's definitely on the agenda. But I have spoken to some counselors about it. And that's the one, I think, target audience that we've underdeveloped the role that they can play in helping guide and direct kids in terms of how they use social media, how they navigate their online journey, and how they can make sure that experience can be as positive as possible while avoiding some of the harmful content. And one of the ways that you can think about that relationship with counselors is they have all these interactions with kids. How do you ensure that those interactions are used as a teaching moment, particularly when they find out that the kid is using social media and how they're using it? What messaging could you give to counselors to guide that conversation in such a way that there are two ways that you can use social media. One way is we don't want it to be a distraction, but how can you use it to amplify ways to reinforce learning, to reinforce positive things in your life or at school, at home, etc.? So how do you use counselors as a channel for pushing positive messaging around social media?
We've done a number of presentations prior to Toronto joining the team. One of them was in Jessup, Georgia, a very small town. The bars actually play bingo on Wednesday nights. Went to
That's pretty wholesome.
three different ones. They're all playing bingo. Okay. T.Y. McGill played for the Browns, and he's recently retired and got a chance to meet him. He's got 2 young daughters. He really bought into the mission, so he's been helping us promote that. And he gave license to everybody at his school. So we went back there and did a presentation. Frustrating as it was, we got about 10% of the parents that came to the presentation. Asked great questions. They got it. They get how the potential problems are of their kids. But there's that 90% out there that didn't pay attention to the issue that at hand, understanding that they were being given a free license to help their child. So it's frustrating. Got to keep doing it.
And this is where I think the workforce readiness angle comes in, because if a parent knows that this is the beginning of the journey, but the end goal is to place their kid in a income generating opportunity, it changes the calculation for them and gives them a reason to get more involved. Not to say that online safety is not a good reason in trying to keep your kid safe, but in a world where parents are being pulled in so many different directions, the idea of not only keeping your kid safe, but ultimately preparing them for the workforce that could ultimately result in some type of job opportunity, I think is enough to keep parents, get them more engaged.
Oh, yeah. I think it's a push and pull of, we all understand we have to be tech native, especially in the emerging workforce. So you're not telling parents to not have their kids use technology. It's just, how do you use it in a way that protects them, not just now, but in later on in their life as well.
Yeah. It's about consumption habits, whether it's diet or online content. Like, you want to make sure you're consuming something that is healthy and good for you.
Absolutely.
This episode is brought to you by TRGT. The people listening to this show are executives, operators, and strategists. And if you're anything like us, operating at 100% isn't optional. It's the baseline. So here's the problem. Most of what we reach for to stay focused leaves us jittery or crashing. Coffees, energy drinks, other vices. TRGT is tackling this head-on with a supplement line purpose-built for long meetings, travel days, and back-to-back strategy sessions. If you've ever used or heard of Zins, those little pouches that took the nicotine industry by storm, TRGT's focus pouches use the same convenient delivery method, without all the junk. They load up their pouches with functional ingredients designed to support clean focus and sustained energy, so that you can lock in without the crash out. And the focus pouch is just the start. TRGT has a full system including hydration, recovery, and sleep formulas, so that you can maximize your entire day, not just your work day. Our team is hooked, and we think you will be too. If you want to perform smarter, head to taketrgt.com.
Like we've touched on, you're reaching a variety of audiences.
Yeah.
Parents, schools, donors, sponsors. How do you think through who you're trying to reach in terms of your marketing? What's your marketing philosophy right now, both in terms of digital and also some more traditional marketing tactics?
So the goal is to get it in front of parents, get it into parents' hands so that they can protect their child. So when we look at whether it's a corporation, we've done a lot of corporations are looking to give it to all of their parents because if they feel their kids are safe, that's a great benefit and it's a very inexpensive benefit for them to do it. We even have insurance companies who have looked at us and said, hey, we'd like to offer this as a product that we can to pass out there. Our big marketing play is with schools. We're not a B2C. We're not out there pushing it for every parent to buy it online on the Apple app. Because if we can get a state like Missouri to give away $300,000, every kid in 5th through 9th grade is going to get the opportunity to help their children. That's where our focus is on our marketing. And again, we have a relationship, our people that go out and market for us are superintendents, and they know other superintendents. They get what's going on in their school districts. They understand that this is a huge problem for them because it causes problems in school. To Torino's point about the counselors now recognize that that's part of the problem, why they have to deal with the issues with the kids in schools. So that's our biggest focus, is getting into the schools because we know that they can open that up. And there's a number of state associations that have looked at us and said, hey, that's a great tool. How can we help you get it into the schools in our state? Canada, for instance, we're doing a pilot program for them in September. They're talking about social media and those issues in school to 20 different schools up in Canada. And they're taking a video that we have and a free license for 90 days to open it up to the parents to try and help them. So they get it. It's just finding that person that says, yes, let's take a look at this.
Yeah, because that's a pretty significant shift based off of just how everyone's using social media technology. That's a pretty strong statement. I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain that in Australia, I think they actually banned kids from under 18 from having social media.
They did. Unfortunately, the problem is kids are smart.
Yeah.
And they find ways to get around it. Just like with our device, kid gets a burner phone. You would think that the parents would recognize they're carrying two phones around. But so, yeah, it's a big shift.
Mm-hmm. From a foundation perspective, do you guys have a dedicated marketing strategy as well?
Yeah, so the way I think about it is from a systems perspective. So we have the parents and children who are the target audience. We have schools that's serving as like a distribution channel. And then you have corporations, et cetera, who are enablers. Because sometimes schools don't have the money to pay for services that kids need. And so that's where an opportunity for corporations to come in and kind of close the gap. So I think about it like a system. And so anytime I'm doing something, my thought is, who am I speaking to here? Mm-hmm. Am I speaking to children and parents? And what's the messaging for them? Or am I trying to appeal to corporations either to be a philanthropist and mm-hmm. dedicate and enable something for a school, or to provide an opportunity for a child who is not only not distracted, but also on a trajectory of going into the workforce. So I'm always asking myself, who am I talking to? What do I need? And what message needs to resonate?
It's marketing 101.
That's marketing 101.
You have to know your audience and tailor the messaging to them. You touched on this, Neal, but a lot of your adopters of CyberSafely, superintendents, parents, they seem to be pretty willing to talk about their experience. How often are you guys layering that into your marketing efforts as a credibility point?
So that's a difficult thing to do. When you get a superintendent, principal, counselor who will speak about it, that's great. But talking to a specific, for instance, Diane Grossman, while she markets from her foundation, is important. But it's hard to get parents to say, hey, thanks for saving my kid's life. Mm-hmm. They were involved in the sexual situation or sextortion, or they've been being bullied. So it's very difficult to get that. So we do layer it in when we can. But for the most part, it's coming from the authority figure that says it's a huge problem. We need to address it.
From day one, how did you know you wanted to visually represent the brand? What was the branding process like?
So when I first started, I went to friends who I've known forever, and they said, yes, this is a great mission. And they're seniors like me and said, yeah, let's do something. And so we had a couple that lives a couple doors down, and they helped us do some branding and create a logo and all those good things. And we spent a year marketing that and doing some branding. Then we talked to people in the marketing world that says, here's really where you need to be and those kind of things. So we adjusted our logo. We changed our branding a little bit. It's continually evolving. The mission doesn't change, but the branding and marketing is evolving because we've got to figure out what makes the most sense out in the world.
That makes sense. We haven't touched on this yet, but you guys have a podcast, Parents Playbook, correct?
Yeah. Again, T.Y. McGill on that. And the idea there was to educate. So you talked about how do we educate the parents, and I know Torino has talked about the challenges that we've had in that. And as he got more involved, we said, let's create a playbook that surrounded around athletes, because athletes, kids still idolize them. And so if we can, again, mission pivot the way kids use their social media, if the athletes come on and say, hey, this is what's really important. So we get a mix of parents and kids who watch it. We've had some athletes on it. We've had educators on it. I've been on it. We've had a number of people that we think help people understand what the problem is. And TY is so bought into the mission, he brings other NFL players on who also give back to their schools. So yeah, it's starting. It's a startup.
That's amazing. I can imagine that's really impactful, especially from a credibility standpoint. What was your favorite part about being on the podcast? I have to ask.
First time I was on a podcast, so it's like, all right, I can tell my story and what's going on. But yeah, being with TY, he's a great guy, and just the interaction with him and referencing sports and his mission, because you don't realize it as he's explained it on the podcast that as a professional athlete, you get depressed. You go through bouts and issues. There's that you see in the news media that you're getting traded. Things are not going the way that you wanted them to be. And so you have to deal with that. Now that comes through the social media that he saw. So recognizing that. So I think you learn in every situation, and it was a very learning experience for me.
I think it was such a smart move to have him be the host because, like you talked about, athletics, especially children's athletics, is everything. You spend so much time. You were an athlete, I was an athlete. The amount of time I was on the tennis court, spending times with coaches and my friends, that can take up a lot of time. And the fact I idolized my coaches, and if they told me something, I'm not saying I listened to them more than my parents, but it carried a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And I think that you're able to utilize his presence, his stature to really help resonate with kids, which sometimes can be hard. The parents can be saying the exact same thing, but it just doesn't hit with them.
Yeah, thank you. We also want to address the parents because that's what we want, the parent playbook. So we try to get other people who can inform the parents, counselors, psychiatrists, and those kind of people.
We haven't touched on some of the competitors in the space. So Bark and Gaggle are functionally similar categories to yours. How much of your differentiation is the tech versus the story you tell?
They have platforms and they're positive and they can do things to help children. Gaggle's an in-school device, relies on the VPN. So if they're not on the school device, it does nothing. If they are VPNing out and getting another network to get what they want on the internet, it does nothing. So that's a difficult situation. We operate totally differently. We are completely tied on the phone and everything stays on the phone. Mm-hmm. The Bark, while it's a good program, they've fluctuated and gone from selling Bark phones and other kind of things, but they're not on the device either. So they rely on pass. So you're going to have to research. We're immediate. So if their sextortion happens immediately, if you're familiar with Tim and Tamia Woods, who lost their son here to sextortion, and they've done a great job. They're big proponents of Sammy's Law that's now in Congress, and they're just great people. Basically, their son was sextorted, and within 12 hours, he took his own life because of the amount of text that he was receiving from the person who was sextorting him. Sometimes with the platform that Bark has, it's going to take parent that amount of time. You immediately get an alert, as we would, so the parent's going to see the alerts piling up. It's like a text. You get a number 1, a number 2, a number 3. So if you have 72 alerts, as he was getting at that time, the parent would obviously see that. That doesn't happen with Bark. I don't want to suggest that there's anything wrong with what they're doing. I just say that there's a huge differentiation, and we've worked really hard from a software development standpoint at great cost to make sure that ours, what we believe is the biggest, best, fastest system.
Yeah, if you aren't leaning into that in your marketing messaging now, I definitely think you need to hone in on that because that immediacy is everything. Because in that instance, 12 hours seems like an insignificant amount of time, but it isn't when a child's life is involved.
Absolutely.
Neal, your mission has always been about saving lives by getting this protection into every parent's hands. Torino, you are the one building the systems that have to carry that mission forward for years to come. When you think about CyberSafely's impact 10 years from now, what does real success look like to you both?
From my perspective, I've always thought that if we can pivot the way kids use social media, yes, we want to save lives immediately, instantaneously, give the parents the alert, create the persona. But my goal is that we get out of the Wild West. Children recognize the issues, parents recognize the issues, and we've changed the way they look at their social media. I still assist my son in coaching, and I walk in the locker room, and in between practices, 98% of them pull that phone out, and they're on it, and they're texting and doing anything they can do. So if we can help them understand that's not as important as the real-life things that they're doing out in the world, get them out in the world to do things like the seatbelt. It may take 100 years for it to really make a change where they recognize it. But I think it got to start someplace, and that's what we're doing.
And I think for me, it's just like anything else. If you find a way to use social media in a way that's productive, that actually builds capability, that actually informs you in ways that allow you to grow, and then provide a pathway to employment, I think that would be a success story for me. Creating a journey for a child who's in the 5th grade, who's exposed to social media, who then finds a way to use it productively and then decide what path they will go down professionally, whether that's a trade, whether that's 4-year institution, whether that's a solopreneur, would be a success for me.
Can't wait to see CyberSafely become more widely adopted.
I appreciate it.
Are you guys ready for the hot seat?
I guess so.
Let's do it.
We'll jump between the two of you for each question,
Okay.
so feel free. Whoever wants to answer first. Biggest piece of advice for a parent who feels behind on all of this?
So I think every parent feels behind on all of it, unfortunately. So the biggest piece of advice is to have a communication with your child, talk to them about the issues, and understand that there are dangers in social media. While the phone is a great device and they need to use it, and kids need to understand it comes with a cost and you need to be more cautious. That'd be my advice, is communication.
Yep. And mine would be just create a safe space for your child, that whatever happens, whenever it happens, that they feel comfortable enough and safe enough to come to you to have that conversation about something that's bothering them. That's the most important thing a parent can do.
Favorite moment working together?
I got to know Torino quickly, and I love the man. He's just phenomenal in everything that he does. I think the favorite moment will come tomorrow night when we have a team party at our house, and so we'll work on that.
I love the creative and generational tension. I think Neal is very focused on the human element in a solution, et cetera. And I am very focused on building systems that could be scaled. And so there's always this very balanced tension between, all right, so where does the human play a role here, Torino? And I'm always thinking about how can we digitize this in such a way that it can be scaled. So I think that that tension allows us to create a much more robust and comprehensive solution that balances both worlds.
We have tension?
Right, we have tension.
We'll have to have you back on to see if the tension's still there.
Still there, right.
It seems like you guys are a dynamic duo. What is your favorite thing about building the startup in Ohio?
So the great thing for me is I'm from Ohio, and I've got a lot of friends, family, and people I've worked with in the past from different companies that I can use. So it's allowed me to reach out and use people that I know that I've been friends with for years, that have great skills, and they want to get involved in helping the mission.
What I like about Ohio is that there's this manufacturing world here that offers children an alternative path to a sustainable career. And to the extent that we can create different pathways, I think Ohio is the best test case for what is possible beyond a traditional four-year institution. So I think if we can make the model work in Ohio, it just gives us fodder for other states and a platform and a playbook for other states as well.
The world, Torino.
The world. The world.
The world is your oyster. Favorite Cleveland restaurant?
So for me, it's anyone that lets my dog come in.
Valid.
A lot of them do not let my dog come in, and on patios, it's a great summer season for patios. But I think I love Luca down in the Flats. In where is it?
I think I consider it the Flats, even though it's not the Flats. I feel like...
Yeah, it's just across the water.
Yeah.
We've gone there many times. A great restaurant.
I like this place called Taco Macho. It's right off. It's on Mentor Avenue. It is some of the freshest tacos and food that I've had here. So
amazing.
It's really
we
good.
can go outside of Cleveland because Chez Francois is my best restaurant.
Oh, okay.
Every anniversary, my wife and I go there.
Where's that?
It's in Vermilion.
Oh, okay.
Close to Cleveland.
Yeah, it's close enough.
Close enough, right?
Favorite Cleveland coffee shop? Or Cleveland adjacent, if that's a little easier.
Thank you. I don't drink coffee. But every morning I go and get my wife a cup of coffee from Dunkin's Donuts, that little thing that I can do so that she lets me do the things that I want to do.
There you go.
So I guess it's Dunkin's.
Happy wife, happy life.
I'll talk about it from the perspective of a brand. So I'm part of a subscription service from Atlas Coffee.
Oh, okay.
And so they source coffee from around the world. So I get coffee from Uganda, El Salvador, Mexico City. So that's my little treat that I give myself.
Amazing. Thank you both for an amazing conversation. Where can our listeners go to connect with you both directly or learn more about the foundation or CyberSafely?
I appreciate that. Thank you for having us. CyberSafely.ai is our website. You can get anything you need, including signing up or get more information or a personal conversation with us.
And for us, cybersafelyfoundation.org. Same thing, get information about the foundation and information about me as well.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thanks, Alyssa. Appreciate it.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Now it's time to start making moves. Head to vividfront.com/marketing moves for exclusive marketing materials. Every episode, we add more of our greatest insider secrets to help you move towards success. See you next time.